Guys, this is well, this idea kind of came about as we just I saw that there, and me, Nico, and the people at Move all saw that there was not a lot of talking going on, between projects or more community-led initiatives to discuss things about sentiments in the IOTA community. It was happening mostly on the IOTA Discord itself, which is kind of a contained little area, hard to get everyone's sentiments in a broader perspective. But we thought I thought it'd just be interesting to kind of the projects I have interacted with, affiliated with IOTA on IOTA. I thought it'd be kind of interesting to have them, introduce their projects, get eyes on them, and let people know what's out there in the broader IOTA, ecosystem and sphere. And so that's how it is. We'll start with a few introductions. My name's Eric. I don't really have a title at Moonball. I just help out with Nico with whatever is his vision. I hope I can help make Moonball a success, but I guess it's social engagement and making connections. And yeah, that's for Moonball. Moon Labs, and Nico, the lead dev of Moonball, can expand on what Moonball actually is, though. Take it away, Nico.
Hello, yeah, I'm Nico, the main dev of Moonvault, and basically Moonvault is a crypto service provider. So we offer vaults, so yield aggregation, and now also a DEX aggregator, an escrow, later also a marketplace. And I guess, yeah, we have some special features others don't have. And actually all of our services will soon be available as plugin. So if you have a GameFi project and don't want to send people via link to, for example, TangleC to buy your tokens, you can soon also simply integrate to a small widget to the DEX aggregator directly at your page so that they don't even have to leave it. And you can also earn with it. Same for escrow and any other services we have. You can plug any of those services directly into your page. Yeah. And I guess that's it.
Well, yeah. Moonball, I guess for everyone to really benefit and Moonball, it's to be friends with everyone, basically on all chains, to provide services for everyone. So and then there's Dr. Tangle, the owner and head of Tangle C DAO and Shimmer C, and I'll let you take it from there, Dr. Tangle.
Yeah, I can continue. First of all, thanks for having me on this roundtable. I think it's quite a great opportunity to bring community projects together. To talk about recent topics regarding our ecosystem. A quick intro. I'm Dr. Tangle. I'm a member of the Tangle C core team, and we are building two community-based decentralized exchanges for the IOTA and Shimmer ecosystem. Both DEXs will be automated market makers, which are designed in the core to generate sustainable value for our traders, liquidity providers, and DAO members. The first DEX will be Shimmer C, which will launch on the Shimmer network, and the second one coming a little bit later will be Tangle C, which will launch when smart contracts hit the IOTA mainnet. On a very high level in regards to the functionality, users will be able to trade tokens on our DEXs, and they can earn rewards with liquidity providing, farming, or staking. There will be a lot of other really cool stuff, which we will announce later, but let's say trading and earning are the base functionalities of both DEXs. Maybe just 2 or 3 more sentences about the core team and the status of our project. We are 11 team members right now working full power on Shimmer C. It's quite exciting. The project is more than a year old now and was quite a busy year for us. We have built a production ready and soon fully audited state-of-the-art protocol. We established a lot of partnerships, having grown a strong and engaged community. So we are actually quite proud that we become one of the most prominent projects in the IOTA community. So it's really cool. And we are super, super excited to launch everything soon with our fair launch concept. And you will all learn a lot more about this in the coming weeks. And yeah, we are able to show the world what we have developed.
Well, we can't wait for that because we're also a partner with you. We want all people to kind of. We just want. I want IOTA to succeed. I think it will do well, just based off the kind of how they act compared to other. Well, they're a DAG. They're the Tangle. But I can't wait for it. And so Dr. Tangle, thank you for joining. And you're gonna be one of the backbone protocols of the ecosystem for sure. No problem. So Linus, Linus is the very established kind of veteran, and he's one of the heads of the IOTA Content Creator DAO, as well as DAO B, which is another game. But I'll let him speak his mind and how he wants to provide it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Exactly. Yeah. I'm Linus. Longtime crypto IOTA degen, and you already introduced me, right? Yeah. I'm one of the co-founders of the Content Creators DAO, which is IOTA's first and, I don't know, to my knowledge, maybe currently still first only service DAO, which means we act like a matchmaking platform for all kinds of freelancers in the IOTA ecosystem. They can have all kinds of skills, can be designers, developers, writers, and so on. And they can find each other and can find projects who are looking for people who work with them on our DAO. And also we have all kinds of other initiatives. Actually, currently, we are setting up a more curated freelancer base, let's say, which we call the IOTA Content Creator DAO services. And the community voted the first 2 services into existence, which is now a marketing service specifically for Web3 and crypto. And the other one is a infographics design service. So, and they're actually already starting to get their first customers coming in. It's super exciting. Actually, we are making things up along the way. we use this a nice saying from the DAO space, just DAO it. So we're trying out several things. The community is active. We have election weekends where we decide on all kinds of proposals around like 3 weeks or so.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody welcome to join if they want.
Yeah, for sure. The crowd at the IOTA Content Creator DAO are a very genuine and good bunch. There's a lot of kind of people who kind of frame themselves as a DeFi-centric, hub of service providers, but most of them will sap you and vamp you out of your money and just not care, which Linus does and his crew does not feel like that at all. So yeah, Linus, thank you so much for being here, and we'll get on to the discussion after we let Greg and Ape Labs introduce themselves. But yeah. Oh, did I not get Greg to?
I think he still has to request permission to speak.
Okay, I thought he. He said he requested. Oh, I thought he went. Yep, here you go. I heard him for a bit, so.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Hey, Greg.
Hey guys, how are you? Well,
good.
Hey, everyone.
Such a pleasure to be here with you guys. And well, I present myself. I'm part of the faculty of Ape Labs, and the relationship between Ape Labs and IOTA was fantastic because we never found such a good reception like we did with IOTA when we did that open class, and since that moment we find that like a new value in the education that we are offering. Because if you people don't know, Ape Labs is a educational platform that started in BSc and now we're starting to travel or visit new chains. And well, the whole idea is to bring near crypto to people. Everyone, every time we hear that phrase, like "do your own research," and we just get happy with that phrase, but that is a little bit selfish, and it's okay to send people.
It's pretty shallow as well. Well, people just say tack it on to a sentence. It's your responsibility, and it is, but it's also the responsibility of the people in a project that's in such a new space to kind of help their users out as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, bro, I agree 100%, and it's cool because you have to take responsibilities about your own actions. More in crypto, that is so tough. But if you could help others to have an easier relationship with DeFi, an easier relationship with NFTs, with everything, by a good lecture, by a good education, everything change. Everything is more tangible and more. You learn from the experience from others, from the experience of your teacher and the experience of the other students. So, that's the essential concept here in Ape Labs: bring education to everyone in the crypto space, so they could navigate, and not only navigate, but also start creating. Because we saw a lot of students that when they finish the Ape Lab certification, they start their own projects, or they come as guest speakers, like Alpha Roll, that we all know, and it is loved in the IOTA community. Well, he is a guest speaker in Ape Labs because the knowledge he has.
Yeah, he was from Ape Swap as well, and he learned all the things, and I think Alpha was on vacation. We did invite him through the Ape Labs introduction, but hopefully he can join in a little bit, and if he sees this. So the major kind of people who agree to kind of show up is great, and we got through that. Anyone else who wants to request to speak, to tell about your project?
Wrote me that he also wants to speak. Dennis, you can only speak via not via
mobile.
Desktop, only via app, and then have to request it.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. Twitter doesn't give you that disclaimer. Yeah, so I did invite him. I don't think that's why I didn't do it. So I would love when until Dennis gets here. Let's wait a bit. But anyone else who wants to join up, this is not just for all just projects. That's kind of just a brief introduction. It's not necessarily an AMA either, but we want to encourage open discussion. Not just by project owners and their staff, but people who are also participating, want to be in IOTA, and maybe not the even the biggest wallets or whatever. We want everyone to just talk and ask their questions. Quests. Hey, Adam, how are you? Hello?
I think he still can't speak.
He was? I thought I remember. Yeah, he's a speaker, but he's on mute right now.
Oh, you're talking about me? Sorry, my phone just cut out.
You're good, my man. So, how are you? This is
yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah. So I just kind of wanted to plug the IF here because there's at least 3 people here in the audience that are from it.
Oh yeah,
so my name's
for sure. We gotta have the IOTA Foundation here, guys. We obviously do.
Yeah, so we can get ready for the punishment. So I'm Adam, and me and Chris and Austin are here, and we all deal with Touchpoint and also do kind of ecosystem growth, business development, a kind of mixing of all this stuff in general. I just kind of wanted to pop up and say hi.
Oh, well, no, feel free to, we're going to talk again to, the real points now, which is, and you can probably enlighten us more about the specifics of, Shimmer and what its purpose is. And I assume that people, there's a lot of people, even in IOTA that might be newer, like I'm newer. I'm admittedly only been here 3 months in IOTA, and when I tell the people about it, they're confused, say it's a lie. There's no such thing as no transaction fees. A lot of these other things that happen. But yeah, so I guess one of the main key points I wanted to know is, around, I believe 7 years ago, when IOTA first came into the radar, what was that story? Oh, I think I got
Dennis can now also speak, so you can introduce yourself.
Oh, well, let's get, before we get into my whole random spiel point, Dennis, feel free to speak.
Hey guys, thank you very much for inviting me. It was a little bit of a struggle, but finally I managed to switch off to my phone. So guys, for everybody who don't know me, I'm Dennis. I'm one of the co-founders of TangleHub, and we have been in this space with IOTA since 2017. And we are the developers of Pipe, and Pipe is the layer 2 infrastructure for data storage and data transfer. And thank you for inviting me, and I'm excited to share thoughts, knowledge, and all other kinds of ideas with each other.
Absolutely, my guy. It was actually funny. The first time I approached TangleHub, I was rather exuberant, I guess is a kind of word, and I feel like I put him into a interesting spot. But I'm glad he's here, and we are talking right now. So there's all of that. But it's interesting to see. Back to my point. There's a lot of 2017. There's been a journey, and most of it I wasn't even part of. Therefore, how do kind of the people who've been here since the inception kind of view the IOTA ecosystem from all the ups and downs? I guess that's what I'm trying to say. How do you view IOTA? The original OGs to the newcomers such as I. Anyone feel free to comment.
I think that there will be a lot of, how can I say this, new information coming out. I think everybody who has been in this space since 2017 has a little bit of another message sometimes in their head, with thoughts of IOTA, with Internet of Things being the surrounding ecosystem for it, and gradually, IOTA steered away from it. So I can understand that newcomers are more likely maybe entering for the DeFi sector or NFT sector. But of course, I think with those split ups, it will be very interesting to see whatever comes out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know one of the I'm very new. I got into DeFi 6 months ago for rather odd reasons, but I got into it and I kind of stayed here because I was making connections. But then I learned about IOTA through Moonvault, and I love the Internet of Things concept. The more enterprise application of what they could honestly do, and it was very interesting. And I like how they're but at least what they say and what they're espousing and preaching is more in tune with my what a normal human would be, rather than just pure money, make money. So anyone else kind of want to speak? I see Dr. Tingle's unmuted. Linus?
Yeah, maybe I can. I was just thinking about it. I joined IOTA 2017 as well as TangleHub, and at least for myself, I really joined because of this compelling vision to create this very scalable bag without fees, outperforming blockchain. And I think this probably most of the OG and the strong community right now is really believing in this vision. And for this reason, staying in this project for so many years. And I mean, it's normal in software development that it takes time to develop such a new, innovative new technology.
Oh, absolutely.
So we went basically through ups and downs. The market went up, the market went down, and then this new DeFi sector came in. IOTA mostly focused on IoT back then. Now they do both and try to go into this new DeFi sector as well. And I think we have never been so close, to achieve this vision. How everything started with this, scalable, decentralized stack.
I find it interesting because if they can pull off the ability to capture the DeFi markets and the users, as well as the Internet of Things and more enterprise application, as well as kind of the more humanitarian efforts, they'll have a they'll have admittedly one of the best DLTs, in existence at the moment, and just in my personal opinion.
Well, actually, I would even say that it is true that IOTA changed so many things around the years in its core infrastructure and many of what were perceived as core ideas. But I would say what is the same for old people who came into IOTA in 2016, 17, whatever, and people who come in now is that there's still this promise that IOTA tries to build what Hans Moog calls very precisely the best possible DLT, which it simply tries to be a huge technical improvement first and foremost. Wants to be faster than others, more energy efficient, has no fees, of course, or at least try different kinds of managing a throughput control and stuff like this. And the end goal is actually to also be more secure than Bitcoin, with a completely different mechanism, of course, not by having more hash power into the same proof of work system, but with this consensus mana and then on top later social consensus too. But that goes too far.
So it was interesting. I read Hans's articles. They were certainly an interesting read for sure, and a lot of the points I agreed with. And so there's that. Go ahead. I thought you were going to say something, Dennis.
Maybe just one thing to add. What I think it's quite incredible, and what we started as well when we opened this roundtable is this open and very friendly to each other community. And when you have, this is incredible when they started the staking for IOTA, or even when we launched Chrysalis 1.5, how many people went into the staking mode was incredible. I think 70 or 80%. So this is how strong the community believes in this project.
Yeah, and I also, I always find it interesting, I've been a community manager for online communities for years. Back in around 2016, 2017ish. From big giant Discord servers, forums and such, and some little Reddit threads. Reddit, yeah. But yeah, so I guess I always find people say the community's strong, but I don't like to collectively look at the community as just some giant blob. I think we kind of get into that trap a lot, and it becomes kind of like an overused hype term. I think it's very much that there's individuals. It's just the quality of individual I see in IOTA who believe in this grander vision. That makes me way more happy about what they're going to try to do than participate in their projects, say, compared to a few months ago to the Binance Smart Chain or like Phantom. You understand?
Yeah, I have to agree to that from my own experience, which is admittedly probably limited compared to my IOTA experience. But whenever I visit different spaces or different subreddits of different projects and stuff like this, I have to say my impression is, let's say, that it is much more Moonboy talk, NFT hype.
LFG.
My opinion, more than 90% scams anyway. But it's scammers try to scam each other because it's a zero-sum game. This means some people will make profit, of course, only with other people losing the exact amount.
It is very much. Yeah, it's very much.
It also gives like a very bad environment for everybody if you're talking about NFT, because I think there is a lot behind NFT that hasn't even begun.
Oh, absolutely.
And I was talking some weeks ago within a small community for gamers, and I was trying to explain that not the NFT, but the dynamic NFT, which I call it like that, is for streaming gaming or multiplayer gaming, where they can stream and multiplayer gaming with all kinds of you can rent out your own stuff, right? And
Yeah.
everybody's thinking, okay, this is a scam. Why don't you? They all only want to take money, those kind of things. And I think that is very, very bad for the entire crypto.
So
industry.
I would honestly agree with that sentiment, because, as a gamer, a person who kind of got Discord into, more of a, kind of nerdy, lack of a better term, more nerdy kind of gamer environment. People, before I got into even, crypto, which most of them were kind of right. It felt like I'm really scammy, and it was kind of scary to just, move forward through, even in Avalanche and all those spaces. But, yeah, so it was crazy to kind of think about that. Most gamers will say, monkey pictures and they kind of visual, like, think about NFTs as like these weird trading cards is a good way to think about it. Like, it's just a picture with, inside some, digital trading card. Why would I want that? Right, why would you want that? Why are you paying, hundreds to thousands of dollars for it? But yeah, so there's a huge stigma against it, having them try, the people who also love gaming would probably most likely love, crypto if there wasn't such a huge stigma to it, but they're kind of so afraid of it.
But
I think the kind of stigma.
That's the technology that we are in, right? That's the technology that we are in from 2017. And of course, like Dr. Tangle also mentioned, from 2017 until now, some things changed. Of course, we were not completely ready from the start, and that's okay, because sometimes you have to fall back or take a step back to make 2 steps forward. And that's what everybody is trying to achieve, right? With Chrysalis, where Shimmer is coming, the smart contracts. It will all be set in a perfect puzzle. I totally still believe in this. And with that said, I think that IOTA Foundation did a very good job to circle back to themselves to say, okay, we're going to focus on the research, making sure that we deliver coordicide, making sure that we deliver smart contracts. All those things are the most important features that we need as a developer point of view.
Also, in general, for adoption, as Internet of Things is just one part, but sadly, as we all know, DeFi is the bigger part, DeFi, whatever. Also,
you say it you just say it as you wish, please, Nico. Say it as you please.
Yeah. And also, I think with all upcoming technology, I remember the time when Bluetooth was new, and I don't know, even your earrings had Bluetooth just because it was hype. And I see it's currently the same with NFT, and a lot of projects just forking each other and say we are better because our website is blue and not green. And sadly, I guess that's also a sign of adoption, because people get into the market, even those that are not qualified or just don't bring, sadly, anything new. And I think we are currently in a phase where just a lot of people that would like to do more, but they can't. But still, at least they try to build something. And that's why we see so many copies and so on. And that's what I also like at the IOTA space, because overall, I'm not very long in DeFi yet, but overall, it feels a lot like at least most new upcoming chains, or it's all about making money, about farming and liquidity mining, and that is a very important part. But I miss less greedy people.
Exactly.
And also more innovation, and that's what I like at IOTA, because I see that there's even more in Touchpoint. There's a lot of projects that they try to implement crypto into their products, but it's not like, oh, crypto is hype, so let's do something crypto to to sell something for the hype, but it's really some politic ideas, which I think is very interesting. A lot of very interesting projects that are seemingly, at least, not in it for the money. Sure, we all are in it for the money, but not for we don't do something new and just try to resell old stuff and recolor it, but really new stuff.
I don't think like most anyone who's kind of speaking right now, I'd be hard pressed. Like I like 1% chance anyone would like ever say this. Like no one's trying to become like the next heads of Three Arrows Capital. That would be ridiculous. Like it was so I honestly just like the vibe. Everyone like the people I walk. Oh, Adam.
No, you can finish that thought. But okay, then I'll just say it kind of hits on a couple points that we were talking about, mainly community. And I'm curious from the people who've been here for a little bit longer, how they see the difference between last year when things were much further away to what it feels like in the community right now that things are becoming more tangible, and how we expect this community to move going forward if we think that we can actually control the character of the community, or if the Moon Boys will ultimately invade the space and take in the character changes as people try to jump on these economic rents to be had.
So I do have a point on the Moon Boys, but I'll let the other guys talk first. But I also want to. I have some NFTs to give away. I did mention it in my personal account. Anyone who really wants to come up, ask to partake in the discussion, not just ask a question and kind of bolt afterwards. I would very much appreciate that, and there is a little reward in it for you.
And I have heard some Loomies are here as well.
Oh, really? Even I didn't know that. Can I steal this one? Yeah, Nico, we have to steal it we have to extort Dr. Tangle now.
I hope to make another account right now to ask Dr. Tangle some nice questions, because I really want to Loomie.
So do I. We should have negotiated it when we talked to him before. But yeah, feel free to anyone. Please join up. We want everyone to kind of succeed. I'm not charging thing. It's just participate, talk for 5 to 10 minutes, and you might get an NFT, and we can talk about it.
Maybe I can jump into the question. I think what mostly changed is from 2017 to 2021, 2022, is as closer we get to this, new functionality of smart contracts and for example, Sooniverse launching with their platform, people had, like, community members first time had something to do, like they can do something, with IOTA, with SMR, and they can create now like tokens on Shimmer. They can create NFTs on Shimmer. So there's more stuff what you can do. It's not only you send, IOTA from one person to another and back. And I think this makes everyone a little bit more exciting. And I think this will continue and continue. So as more, as closer we get to the Shimmer EVM launch, as more protocols will launch, as more functionality and utility you have for your own tokens, I think this will even further increase. But this is what I actually recognized, at least for the last, 12 months, what really changed in the community.
I have to agree. I mean, compare the IOTA community exactly like from last year. There were no DAOs, there were no NFTs, obviously. There were, I would say, 90% or more of all projects that are currently active in the space that did not exist there. This means if you look back 1 year, the place is already kind of exploding, which is interesting since the technology is not even there yet. But because people are so excited, and maybe so many, they sat on the fence and got active when they see the chance, and probably many more sit on the fence and are interested in the stuff and will jump into the space once it's really live. I'm pretty sure about that.
For sure. Speaking kind of Adam's Moon Boy, they're obviously come. I have no doubt that when if IOTA even goes in price even a little bit, to 1 to 150, which isn't that unreasonable to think it would. They'll come, and I don't want to say it's like hordes, but like, you know, they'll see the profit. They'll try to do the things. And I honestly think to kind of preempt and kind of, you know, like they've seen every other chain do it, launch, you know, horrible stuff has happened. I think it's a, you know, to take those lessons of the other blockchains that exist, and they kind of need to kind of like, okay, guys, you know, of the people who are currently here, these are kind of the models and unsustainable practices, kind of red flags you would honestly see in projects that, you know, when I say, yeah, these are not people you should trust. You should trust your gut. If, you know, a person who's, you know, so door to door soliciting yourself, I am the most perfect mod and, you know, community manager in existence, and they're not unwilling to get on a call with you, or, you know, for a project owner or a person who just, you know, does all these sorts of things, or, you know, what most people would say aberrant behavior, you know, I do feel like it needs to be kind of laid out, some of these more malicious behaviors in DeFi for like IOTA, since they're going to be just started, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think overall it can't be prevented. Users and also then scammers go where the hype is, and a new chain always creates hype. So it is sad, but long term there will also be scam projects. But in my opinion, that is also a sign of adoption, because scammers go where the money is, scammers go where the hype is, and IOTA will have hype. So over some time there will also be scam projects, but can't be prevented.
You can't prevent it. Yeah.
I also want to bring in something else that was from 2017, and I think that is still valid until this day. And that is a phrase from somebody who was a founder somewhere in IOTA Foundation a long time ago. Data is the new oil, and it still is. I truly believe it. If I look around me, what's going on with all the projects who are trying to deliver, who are building something, you already see a vibrant ecosystem going on, right? And it will be growing even bigger and bigger. And from that point on, I think that data is still a very valid source to say from, okay, we are going towards DeFi, we are going towards NFT, but I think nobody should forget that IoT data, and data in its, well, how can I say this, in its most biggest form, is, in my vision, still a very big fish to catch. It's there. It's there. We just have to grab it. And of course, we are doing that from our perspective by supplying data storage.
Yeah.
And that you can send over data very fast in a parallel situation. But it only makes a difference if you can use it under perfect setting, because there's no other perfect layer one than IOTA. It still is. We have been looking left and right to other layer ones, and of course there are some, but not as best as layer one from IOTA. So in my view, it's still, everything is still possible for us. There is so much to win, and I really hope that all projects they all come to fruition, and they all will showcase their solution, and that we can really step onto the global platform that I think, and IOTA deserve.
Oh, I mean, I hope I from the original I honestly hope that's the case. That there's a lot of amazing people in Touchpoint. There's a lot of people amazing in IOTA, just as participants in general. And I hope it works out for their sakes. People can say I hope their backs are well, but I honestly hope that the whole experience is just a worthwhile and nice endeavor.
But should it be only about the backs? It should also be about innovation. It should be about innovation also. From everybody has, and I'm really a very big how can I say this, voting, or I'm a big voter for it, is that we don't want everything into a silo. Not
No,
everything
exactly.
should be in a silo. It's not doable. And we
Oh.
see day to day, we see all kinds of failures going on in all kinds of companies who are just, they are struggling with those silos. And I think that we, as the community, if it is, and it doesn't matter, right? If it's fintech, digital creation, or whatsoever, I think that if you can make sure that it is immutable, if you can transfer perfectly, if you have like a good data structure, you are already winning it, and there is so much behind it.
Oh, absolutely. One of the, I explain, the innovation, the people who are trying to make these new kind of, whether it's to the DeFi concepts or, anything else in the business enterprise sector, or just, more of a humanitarian philanthropic, initiative. It's important. I think it's incredibly important to have, people do silo themselves on these chains. It's incredible to see they become like these weird digital tribes, and they try, big fish try to eat little fish, and it's rather unfun to be part of. Anyway.
Are there any community members that would also want to share their sentiment on the development of IOTA the last few years?
Sorry.
Can I maybe just
yeah, sorry.
Wait,
Jamie from IOTA Poet here. I've got a quick question. Does anyone know of like any projects that are working with like smart cities at the moment on IOTA?
IOTA Utopia, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, apologies, Dr. Tangle. I rambled again. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to. I just wanted to comment about data is the new oil, and I think this is absolutely correct. I mean, when you look at the large corporations of the Bay Area, Google, Facebook, we as the users, we are the product of them, and I actually believe that IOTA can help here to protect these data streams and make it more decentralized in the future. And I really hope, and I have seen that the IOTA Foundation is working on this automatic login section where you can log in into websites and products with your IOTA address, and you are in full control of your own data. I think this would be a big starting point that people realize that what is possible. Just wanted to add this to what Tangle Hub just said. And absolutely agree to all your comments.
So one of the things is this kind of one of the things I hope with IOTA that just you see in the other changes is that there's a bunch of, and it actually brings it back to a point of centralization and decentralization. I think, as weird as it sounds, IOTA strikes a nice balance between both at the moment. And when it because if you're fully decentralized, if everyone works together, that's great. Then there's no issues. But I kind of see the siloing, and I see these kind of anachronistic, bad behavior form, and they try to be malicious towards each other, which is the extreme end. I see that decentralization has, and then you have the opposite end where there's centralization. And there's, they have so much control, it's hard for anyone to even progress. But I feel like IOTA could do the thing that both extremes, fail and cannot see. They kind of, divest control, and then people can behave appropriately. It's just my thought.
You mean with IOTA centralization, you mean from a technical perspective, the coordinator node? Or how the development works with one foundation in the
just more like the development from the foundation. People kind of think of the central figure at the foundation as the sole person to prop up the project and the chain itself, or in this case the tangle.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I have to say, currently the IOTA Foundation announced that they will spin off many of their apartments, like digital identities, I think like Firefly Development, the main wallet, into little for-profit companies and other kinds of spin-offs, and mostly keep only the absolute core technical development, the Shimmer and later the IOTA 2.0 core open source code, let's say, in the foundation. And I have to say, I think this is a very good move. Independent, if it makes sense from financial stuff, because I think it was also financially motivated to spin things off. But I think it's really good that the foundation becomes more slim and absolute focused on this core technology, because this is where I agree with you, where the centralization of the development of the real core protocol is actually a good thing, because I think you don't need too many cooks cooking together, right? At least for now. And once there is a IOTA 2.0 with all the utilities from Shimmer, and it will be an extremely nice protocol, in my opinion. Starting from there, maybe all kinds of spin-offs and forks can also develop, and in a wider development space. Yeah, but right now, it's good to have one.
I agree. I totally agree. I think that they did the right thing to make sure that they stay focused on their core technology. And of course, like you said, I think there's also a little bit of financial motivation behind it, but I cheer for it, because it will make us more. It will hopefully be faster towards fruition of the layer 1.
Definitely, and I mean, I think they also did it partially to be a little bit more decentralized, because getting other companies to also pay for some parts of the development and have a say in it. We see it with stuff like OpenGL, where all those big companies have a say in it and also pay for it to be further developed. And I mean, IOTA is the chain for also for companies to set up their own supply chains or whatever. So it's, in my opinion, very smart to also, let them all have a say and ensure that everything is developed as the organizations also need it.
Yeah, but they had to split up their manpower, their brain power, if I can say like that, and now they can focus. And let's be very honest, right? We are in it for the tech. If you, a lot of times we are saying this, but it is like that. And what we see now is that IOTA Foundation has pulled the wagon until a certain point in time, that is, let's say 2022. And what we see now is you see all kinds of projects standing up. They know that they can deliver. They know that they can bring something to the table that is an added value. And why keep those other projects still running while there are better developers now turning into this into IOTA, and that's a positive thing. It's not negative. It's super positive, because a lot of more attraction will be pulled in towards the IOTA community from outside, and that's what we want, right?
I would say so. Linus has to come back up again. But yeah, I 100% agree. You know, there's a few people who came up. You know, IOTA Poet. You know, feel free to ask your questions. You know, if you want to speak still.
Yeah, sorry, mine was just on the smart cities, and I know, for example, just on the spin-offs, is it IECO?
IOTA Utopia, I think.
There was IOTA Utopia, but isn't that IECO, which is some collaboration, I think, on smart cities with the EU, is it?
I am not totally sure. I just saw their account last night. I didn't even know how to get in touch with them. So, I mean, if you tweet them, you can see if they want to join and talk. Well,
yeah.
that's the whole.
Does anyone remember that? Is it VidBot? Does anyone remember that one that they had, which is kind of like a IOTA smart cities thing? But I did see the other day that I don't believe they use IOTA anymore. But maybe it's because they were around in 2018 or so, where maybe the tech wasn't as mature.
But smart cities is also prop-ups, right? With the real estate. Prop-ups.
Prop-ups.
He was doing something with smart buildings, and I don't know exactly what he was doing at this point, but I know that IOTA was cooperating with Propos for real estate management 2.0.
Ah, yes. I know what you mean now. Sorry, yeah. In fact, I haven't seen an update on that recently. It'd be interesting to know. I mean, for me personally, that's what really got me into IOTA was the IOTA stuff and the smart cities, because I feel like IOTA being the infrastructure of, potentially the world, but certainly the IOTA sector was, I think, what made us all jump off our seats, really. So any sort of updates around that, I'm always looking for.
Well, thank you for coming up, my dude, and asking your question. Since the other people here are project owners, you can message me in a DM later, so I can give you an NFT if you want, to. But yeah, Chip is also here. He's the Ape Labs president. Let's see if he can speak.
Yeah. Hey, everybody.
Hey, Chip.
Hey, Chip. How are you?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for having me. It's been kind of listening in on the audience, enjoying the flow
totally,
and vibes. So
totally ignored you by accident. But yeah,
coffee after you woke up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sprinted downstairs, got the coffee, and hopped on. So
gotta go talk with IOTA bigwigs,
Oh, I know. Humbled to be here.
No, not that I'm just a nothing person. Just came here 6 months ago, but happy to have Ape Labs president here. Chip, how do you see on IOTA? Like, this is maybe an interesting question. How do you see how the education on not even the blockchain, but kind of just distributed ledger technology can kind of go forward? People are kind of going to Discord, doing all these things, just like you are. But how do you feel like it can evolve in this kind of Web3 space?
Well, it's hard because there's service providers for every type of DApp and NFT imaginable, right? Like everyone's falling over themselves to deploy a token or launch a DApp, but there's no interest in building out an educational suite. So until there are actual larger entities building out services with a primary educational focus, it's not really going to improve. It's kind of what we started to do with Ape Labs is, just try to open this door for, actual real crypto and DeFi education. And it's a challenge. People want money. They don't want to get better. So I don't know that there's an easy solution there.
Well, no, I just wanted your thoughts, and I 100% agree. People espouse it as a hype board education. We need to educate our users, but then they don't. They kind of just go in the background. They use it to drag people in, and then just let that sort it out themselves, which is unfortunate. But beyond that, I do feel like even with this small group here, who kind of value more, rational thought and educating people to prevent themselves from doing grievous mistakes. It's a step in the right direction, even if it's just this tiny little blip in the road, right? In a group chat.
I want to acknowledge what Chip is saying. I think Web 3.0 is a very hard egg to crack at this point. I think that a lot of, let me say, companies are still thinking in a process Web 2.0. So I think, and that's where we are aiming from our side, is let's first aim for Web 2.5 and make sure that they can do something that is an advantage for their processing or their company or the business development or whatever you want to call it. I think there should be a middle station. And that middle station is Web 2.5, where we try to interact with Web 2 and making sure that they see the added value within Web 3, but don't want to make that big step suddenly. I think that would be that is for me, I think, the best solution, and that's also what we are trying to aim for.
Yeah, for sure. I'm still I want to press it. I'm going to try my best to encourage anyone in the audience and come up, say something, earn some free stuff, and just talk to some project owners if they so want to.
As we have so many project leads here, I think what might be interesting also for the community or also for Touchpoint and IOTA Foundation might be that some of the community or even we as project leads say what are the most important questions we hear about, for example, Shimmer all the time compared to other blockchains. Because, most people know Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain is nearly the same and Kronos is nearly the same, but there are a lot of differences with, for example, Shimmer. What has the community for questions that we as project leads might answer, or what do the other project leads had or experience every day as a question for, hey, can you explain me the difference about what's Shimmer? Is it, for example, the main question I always get is it a testnet? Can I make real money on it? Or is it just like Binance Smart Chain testnet and there will be rollbacks and stuff like that, which I hear a lot of times.
Yeah, someone, feel free to come up, for sure, well, honestly, I'm not a, so unless no one comes up, I might as well. Flea. IOTA Flea, nice to meet you. Thank you for popping up and saying hi.
Yeah, I'll spin off and ask that question too. Since kind of an OG since the 2017 days, a comment on the community if as the buzz keeps rolling here with Shimmer and the community grows. The one thing that I've at least noticed with IOTA is a lot of people, including myself, they've never left. And so there's a core group that, and it's hilarious, kind of the spec channel and everything else, separate self-deprecating humor. Probably the best positioned community to kind of deal with an influx and keep, whatever culture currently exists, give it the best shot at not being kind of taken over. But I'll spin off with that question for any of the project owners. As a non-tech guy, as a non-developer, but just as a community member for a long time, what does Shimmer allow that to your project, or maybe IOTA in general, that you just can't get through BSC or Ethereum or any other layer one? Because I think that's always the interesting thing as a community member. Whenever I see all of these other new projects, I always come to the conclusion that, well, IOTA could do that. It hasn't fulfilled that vision yet, but that's what I always see. So would love to hear your take at how Shimmer is different, or the unique aspect that it is the only one or only solution that perfectly plays into what you're working on. Thank you.
Thanks, man. And maybe I can start. So as I explained, we are the IOTA content creators DAO, and DAO means decentralized autonomous organization. This means we want to organize ourselves with as many decentralized tools as possible. There are no strict leaders. For example, yes, I'm one of the co-founders, Digital Soul, who's also here in the crowd too, and some others. And we are temporarily elected as coordinators to lead the thing, but we're not the bosses in a strict sense. And what's super important for DAOs, which will probably only be possible on these IOTA networks, Shimmer, maybe later IOTA mainnet, is to implement feeless on-chain voting. Because these DAOs, all important decisions are done by the community via voting. Ideally, like there's certain kinds of voting. You can have democratic voting if you're able to do that, where one person has one vote. You can have weighted voting according to some reputation or according to some tokens somebody held. And however, if you want to vote on chain, for example, on Ethereum, everybody must issue a Ethereum transaction. For that, you can imagine the costs. Nobody will vote. This is why currently the state of DAOs in the wider space is that they all vote on, actually not decentralized tools or on, I don't know, some networks who of course have lower fees, but because they are not decentralized, like Binance Smart Chain and stuff like this. And the promise is of course that we can either vote on chain without any costs, or at least for the minimal costs possible in the whole space. That's the promise, and that's super interesting for all DAOs, not only us.
I guess overall that is very interesting, and also the general tech that IOTA promises, which is that it is a more scalable blockchain than all of these others. I guess a lot, if not all, people here have either experienced problems with other blockchains like congestion, and sometimes, for example, on Phantom, or let's say Polygon, where you have to pay normally 30 Gwei, but then suddenly it sometimes spiked up to 1,000 Gwei. So that is a hefty price increase. And one other very important thing is that most of these chains have so-called miner extracted value and sandwich attacks, which is normally there's a lot of arbitrage bots trading on some chains, and also stuff like I want to make a trade that normally would give me a profit, but then a bot picks up that I want to make a swap that would make me profit. So he also makes a transaction that is picked up in the next block, but before mine, and then actually he gets the profits and I don't. And after my transaction, there's another bot that also grabs all of this and then earns on my trade. And as far as I heard, this won't be possible on IOTA, which is bad for arbitrage bots, but it makes trading and also AMMs, in my opinion, safer, because now I can trade and make profits without being so much afraid of a bot stealing my profits.
Yeah, 100%.
And that isn't possible on Binance Smart Chain, Ethereum, and all these other chains, as far as I know. They all have that issue.
So,
maybe I can, I mean, this was already very comprehensive, so not so much to add from my side, but so maybe to summarize this a little bit, I think it really depends if you look at the Shimmer, on the Tangle level, like Shimmer level. So here you can do a lot of very nice stuff with creating tokens or like creating NFTs without paying any fees. I think this is not possible on any other network. So this is actually quite special, but it's limited to, let's say, a small amount of use cases. And then when you go on the second level, on the Shimmer EVM chain, then it's more comparable to any other, Ethereum blockchain. But as what Nico just said, there's no MEV, which is a huge advantage for all the traders on this chain. And another thing is, there you can spin off this one chain. So there will be probably a Shimmer EVM chain first, and a lot of protocols will launch on this chain. And then there will hopefully, because this means there's a lot of growth, there will be a certain time where there are so many protocols on this chain that we reach the amount of transaction we can go through the chain, and then there will be, and then the fees will probably go up, and it won't be so fast anymore. And this when this happens, other blockchains like Ethereum, they just stuck, fees go up and transactions go very slow. But in the IOTA case, you can just spin up a second chain, which is then connected with the first chain via the tangle, and you can just scale this up. I think this is quite unique. Of course, we will need to test this out, and we will just see how everything works. But at least it's possible without having this centralized bridges between the chains.
Yeah, and that will also be very interesting for, I guess, a lot of companies that can just spin up their own side chains to just make their own stuff. Which I guess also no other chain really can do.
Adam also raised his hand a little bit.
So I'll say two things that haven't really been mentioned, and because I'm a professional shiller of IOTA and Shimmer, which is
you have to. That's your job. Good on you.
So two things that we don't know. We might not know exactly what form it takes, but these are what we're currently building. Is that one implication that you can natively mint and transfer and burn tokens on the layer 1, and the same with NFTs, is that any chain that builds on top of them can kind of reach down into the layer 1 and take whatever's minted there, and it kind of wraps into a layer 2, or the layer 2s can speak to each other in this way. And what this kind of enables is that you can have a layer 1 that acts as like a liquidity layer for the entire system. So if we get something like Tether or USDC to mint natively on the layer 1, then we have feeless movement of stable coins, which is something that doesn't really exist in crypto. There are, of course, low fee environments, and a lot of people downplay the significance of feeless in comparison to low fee, but I'm not really convinced. I think that free is much cheaper than low fee in people's heads.
In years,
But also the fact that you have this composability thing that exists in, say, Ethereum. So if you have Tether on Ethereum, then if Optimism wants to use Tether or Arbitrum or Metis or any of the L2s, these are separate pots that they're having to kind of like deal with. In the IOTA system, what we're looking at is one single source, or this is theoretically possible, one single source of something like a stable coin or any other native asset that can be just kind of referenced in the layer 2. The other one is random number generation, which is kind of one of the classic things to say, is that normally if you're in Ethereum or a lot of the other ecosystems, they operate off of Chainlink, and what means is Moonvault and other people who build up BSC probably are aware of this. You have to have a Chainlink subscription. You pay it in Link, their token, to get a verifiable, or VRF, verifiable random F is something I can't remember. But you get a random number. In IOTA, this happens without needing Chainlink for this. Of course, we'll still need it probably for price feeds and stuff like that, unless we have another Oracle service. But these are two things that are kind of on the top of my head that are unique about the ecosystem that haven't been mentioned.
For sure. So I was trying to think.
Yes, Oracle would be huge, but don't tell that to Oracle to Chainlink, or they will hate it.
Oh yeah, they already know. We already talked to them.
Yeah, and also that we have free random numbers is very huge, because, like you said, I heard from some projects, I don't know if these numbers are true, but to mint a lot of NFTs with verifiable random numbers on BSC, I guess they spend about 8K plus. Which, yeah, sure, if you have money, it's nice, but if you don't have money, that's quite some.
Yeah,
actually,
sure.
The meme was passing around our Slack, or I had a Slack today, about like, what if we become the Oracle, the random number Oracle, and the other chains start referencing us to give them random numbers because we're cheaper than Chainlink?
I think it would be great for all the people involved except Chainlink. I think they would just kind of go in the chat like, no, we can't have this happen. No. They would never join this conversation, probably.
Link has just to stock up on some IOTA so that they can pay you to use your Oracle.
It'd be such a horrible reversal. Yeah, it would actually be pretty poetic, actually, quite funny. But yeah, so I mean, one of the things, so we talked about Shimmer and we talked about a lot of other concepts. Does anyone have, want to come up and just speak randomly about how, current events or even some projects they might find interesting that may have not been mentioned before? Feel free. I see, Hi-Fi is here, and a guy from, Monaco podcast, and I think Ben Royce is from Social 2.0, but I could be wrong on that. Oh, IOTA, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a question for the projects. I'm just wondering how you're all feeling in the bear market, and how is the team's morale?
Our team morale is very high.
I mean, I guess for Moonvault, we don't care. We just go.
Yeah.
It's just
Same
like, yeah,
this is the time to go.
It is. Everyone's heads are down. They're not demanding and having huge expectations of like success because everything is down. At least in my opinion,
the best market to build is the bear market, because when it goes up, you can show everything, and it's already done and finished. So you can capitalize on it if you want to.
For sure. Go ahead, Dr. Tingle.
I think it actually benefited us because the technology is not ready yet, right? We haven't launched Shimmer yet. We haven't launched Shimmer EVM yet. So the IOTA Foundation plus the community needed some time to build this up. And what Nico just said, the bear market is there to build. So the bear market actually gave us the time to get ready. And I think it fits actually very well, because now the market gets better, everything gets a little bit more relaxed, and people are more positive, and we actually exactly at this time start probably launching Shimmer, launching the chain, and then launching all these protocols. So I think it gave us the time, because just imagine we would have seen a large bull run like 3 months ago, we would completely missed it. So on our team, we are actually so we haven't seen this as negative.
Yeah. I just to be IOTA Fleet. I think we might have maxed out our speakers. Do you mind if we just put you down? I mean, you participated. I'm happy to.
You can take me off speaker.
He also wanted to speak as well, but
who?
I think at some point at least Flea also made an emoji, and I think he wanted to speak, but I don't know.
I'm literally kind of tweeting, so apologies if I don't. And I believe Ben Roy, he's on desktop. So he said great space. I believe it. I'm using BlueStacks, which is like the worst way to check things. So if you did say that, Ben, I hope you're enjoying it so far. But yeah, anyone else kind of want to come up and one thing, if not, I have one kind of question kind of posed to everyone. In a lot of things we kind of touch on it briefly. Do you kind of think that a lot of times the people with outside the foundation, essentially the users, kind of put the onus and kind of everything onto the foundation for the project to be a success? Oh yeah, Nico.
To the last question, because of the bear market, I just wanted to say overall, in my opinion, first of all, we all can now buy our favorite coins for way cheaper. It's time to build. And also, this is maybe just my sentiment, but I also just joined crypto about start of 2021, and everything just went up crazy, and all people were like, oh, we speculate that BTC will go to 100K or at least 75K, and everyone was just going crazy. And I think we also got a lot of new adoption but also a lot of people lost a lot of money, and a lot of scam projects were there. And I think a lot of not investors but gamblers joined the space that felt successful because they bought Dogecoin, for example, and made good money and now thought they were good investors. And in my opinion, the bear market also shakes out a few of these not real investors but gamblers, because now they see, okay, maybe I really just gambled and was lucky, because in bull market everyone is lucky. And in my opinion, actually gamblers hurt the space a lot, because also if a lot of people gamble, then a lot of scam projects come to get the money of all of these gamblers. And I think it became, it feels like I hear about less scams. Sure, there's still a lot of scams, but it feels like there are less scams, and current news are more about, sadly, a lot of bridge exploits. But yeah, I think actually it helps a little bit. And crypto market was too crazy, and it just was too bullish. So yeah, it had to normalize, and we have that now.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, Dingle, Dr. Dingle, go ahead.
And maybe can I just add one further point? So I think another thing which will be quite good when we launch now in this kind of bear market, we have enough time to set up the infrastructure, to build up initial, liquidity, set everything a little bit like in place, and then when the next like full circle is starting, we are already there. We are ready. We have the needed liquidity to digest a bull market. So I think it's actually quite good for us.
Would you guys mind if I kind of reiterate my point about how people kind of view the foundation, or would you like to kind of go on to another point? Well, I guess I'll just go for it. So basically,
maybe can you just repeat? I haven't heard.
Yeah, sure. As I invited a new person to come up, but it's very nice to meet you. Well, I'll get to my question first, and apologize for inviting you, kind of taking your space. But basically, a lot of times I see that even with the Ethereum, network and various chains, they put a lot of the and legitimately and honestly, the success on the foundation themselves, where it solely dies, and it's very centralized, because if it solely works for the foundations, the one propping it up, they're essentially the ones more or less kind of controlling it, even though people say it's decentralized. So kind of what are your thoughts? You kind of think, I like how IOTA, as you said before, has kind of divesting control into various segments. And do you think people have sometimes unrealistic expectations of the leadership when they kind of view it that way? Go ahead, Doc.
Maybe what I can say in regards to IOTA Foundation and decentralization of foundation, but there will be probably, I don't know how much, but let's say more than 10 nodes who validate the chain, which actually control somehow the chain in a consensus together of these 10 nodes. And all these validators have probably a big intrinsic motivation to get the best out of the chain, that it's secure, that it's trustful, that that no one makes any bad stuff with validating wrong transaction or something. So if the chain, the IOTA Foundation is developing the infrastructure and they develop the chain, but after it's launched and validated by these kind of node committee, the IOTA Foundation is not in control anymore. So this is at least for the layer 2. For layer 1, there's still the coordinator, and you all know him, and we all hope that the coordinator will be gone soon. But this is another topic. But for the chain, I think it's somehow decentralized and will probably further grow with more nodes in the future.
Understood. Thank you. That's what happens when you're not specifically a dev and just a ignorant, not ignorant, just a typical user, I suppose, of the blockchain and Tangle. But yeah, Azania, feel free. I'm
Azania,
sorry, Azania. Apologies.
No problem. Yeah,
Feel.
so to your point about whether people want to burden the foundation, or put the onus of when there are issues, whether they're technical issues, whether they're issues around the value of the token, burdening the foundation with that is unfortunate, because I think that what actually happens is that the foundation, who to me has recently redefined, and rightly so, its role relative to the token and the entire IOTA community, which is that they are essentially an R&D functionality. That's their functionality. That's what that's how they're licensed within the region that they are in reference to being a nonprofit. All of that, and it's good to me that they've kind of reestablished that and taken the time and made kind of a more definitive statement around that, because what seemed to have been happening is that the community at large was burdening the foundation with ideologies that typically are just kind of the cryptosphere mindset, a lot of which is based on a lot of speculation. It's like everybody somehow feels as if the definition of the cryptosphere is a speculative market based on the value of the various tokens that are listed, say, on CoinMarketCap or whatever. And people forget that while there is a marketplace, and while there are people trading and basically engaged with the crypto market as a speculative environment, that is not what defines these projects. It defines some of them for sure, but that there is utility behind these tokens, and that the whole point of having the token is as it facilitates a certain type of utility and introduces a certain kind of technology that improves essentially the social condition, or how humans function. And a lot of that is lost sight of. So because you have certain things that become faddish or popular within the cryptosphere at large, you have members now whose intent was not to develop some speculative token that can be gambled upon, essentially, but to develop some real life technology that actually improves the human condition in a variety of ways. And that gets lost sight of. And so everybody gets caught up in the fanfare, DeFi, NFTs, whatever. And I'm not knocking those things. Those things have their own utility in their sphere. And there are apparently tons of people attracted to those things. That's all good and great. But to then want to burden the foundation as if it needs to concede to that purpose, and all of a sudden focus on that and lose sight of the value of the technology, which has much, much larger application, much, much larger value. And yes, all of that value is included in what the technology can perform. But it is not what the technology is about. And it becomes almost ridiculous to me that you have this kind of press from or had this press from so many community members saying, hey, we need to be about this, we need to be about that. And all they were talking about being about was copying the rest of the cryptosphere, who technologically their protocols can hardly compare with the protocol that the Tangle is. And the other part of this is I don't believe in tribalism. That's the most ignorant thing to me. Bitcoin isn't this, or it's limited to that, or it can't do this, it can't do that. Ethereum is decentralized. No, it's not decentralized. You get all these foolish arguments that don't take into view the fact of what the technology itself is allowing and what is contributing to a whole human society, a whole global human society changing. And so what you have is you get these silly conversations, these silly dynamics where people are arguing about what protocol is better than that protocol. And then in the meantime, you have a regulatory agency like the SEC coming in at least in the United States. And because of its ignorance and its fears around what crypto represents, are just one by one, taking down various crypto platforms and entities, and everybody everybody's standing around with their tribalism and not seeing the need to have solidarity as an entity, as a particular endeavor within the larger society. So this is crypto. So why is it that all of the folks involved in crypto somehow feel a need to contend with each other rather than support each other as a collective and say, hey, we represent a new and emerging technology, a new industry. We ought to have some solidarity around this so that these regulators who are ignorant, or maybe they're not ignorant, maybe they're just fearful of the fact that things are changing and they don't have the level of participation in the change that they would like to have. What happens as a consequence of all of this, and pardon me for being so long-winded.
Oh, no, you're fine.
But what happens in these instances is that then you get a regulatory body like the SEC coming in and essentially, because of a lack of solidarity, you have them able to pick off these entities, and these entities are not doing anything that none of the other entities are doing. And yet, because of the tribalism, they're accusing each other. Ethereum's accusing other entities, XRP of being a security, and then the XRP
AVAX and like
you're
Phantom,
the original, you're the original security, and it gets really foolish when what you realize is happening is that the regulatory agencies are just coming in because of their particular policies that don't that have governmental protections, and is not at this point being questioned objectively enough about why they feel like enforcement is something they need to enact rather than actual regulation, which is what they're supposed to be about. So you get this fractured cryptosphere and I'm just sitting back and watching all these entities get picked off one by one, whether it's Veritasium or whether it's Library or whether it's XRP. And now it's Dragon Chain that recently got announced just 2 days ago that the SEC is filing a suit against Dragon Chain. And everybody's standing around and there's zero solidarity. And yet, as everybody gets picked off individually and cries foul, it's like, what is the point in this continued tribalism? And what is the point of engaging the cryptosphere as some kind of speculatory gambling opportunity, when in actuality it's revolutionary technology that's life-changing for humanity? I think if there's a realization of the larger focus, the larger accomplishment, then we engage differently, and I think that's important. And thank you for indulging me. I'm through.
No, it was very well said and eloquently spoke. Yeah, thank you for bringing those points up, Azanaya. Yeah, that was quite amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
Nico.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to jump in front of Nico. I just wanted
No,
to
go first. Go first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Really, really love the comment and sentiment.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's incredibly insightful. And with this industry being nascent, with it being hyper competitive, with it being ultra libertarian, we can make bridges between networks, but for some reason we can't bridge protocols and bridge builders and bridge teams. And we put ourselves at risk because the people who are organizing these groups, they're people like SBF. And so they're agenda driven. they're not coming from kind of like a pure desire to see this space grow and flourish. It's to consolidate their own power. And so this is something that we really need to do a lot better at. I think that probably a good reason why we don't collaborate and work together and like move towards regulations hand in hand with each other is because a lot of the DApps and the projects that the market promotes, like they shouldn't be in that position, right? They're just some people who spun something up on a whim and it catches fire and then they're in over their heads and they don't know what they're doing. They don't understand principles of business management. They don't understand operations, budgeting. And it just puts us kind of, in a bad spot to work together because a lot of the people building, they don't have a desire to necessarily make the space better. Their sole focus is to just maintain their own DApp. And yeah, I don't know that there's a really good solution for it, but I really loved your comments.
It was truly a great one, Nico?
Yeah, I 100% can agree also on what Chip said. So I think there are some people that really just want to build, but devs normally are not good at business. And then there are other people that are good at business, but then just hire outsourced devs and also have not well products, so whatever. So
yeah, the Fiverr devs issue.
Yeah. So a lot of projects have to look first at themselves, which is one issue. And I guess one other very big issue, it's always hard to say as a project owner, but we all know it's true. Crypto space is very entitled. And nowadays, which is a global problem, is everybody thinks he's the smartest, and I don't have to listen to doctors and what they say because I can Google what Corona really is. So I am smarter than every doctor on the world. And that is also what we see in everything. So people that haven't made any crypto projects, nor are developers, nor have an own business, have a very strong opinion about how a project has to be run. They want to tell people how to run their corporation. And that is how you said it. People, the community is important also for IOTA, but also a lot of parts of every community are toxic because they are not in it for the project. A lot of people are just in it for the money. They don't care if you survive or what you are actually building. They just care if they make money with you and how they think you should run your business so that they earn money. But thereby they actually hurt themselves. But they don't care because they are the smartest, because they are the only ones that know how to use Google. And that's the problem.
It indeed is. Oh, Linus, go ahead.
Well, I think a big reason for the tribalism in crypto space is really fundamental game theory and can probably not be solved because of that, which is because most of the layer ones, at least, they try to solve the same problems in the end. I know there are some more specialized ones who try to cater to a more specific use case, but in general, you can do basically everything on every layer one, at least in general. Mm-hmm. This means that because of network effects, everybody expects that at some point there will be few super big winners of this race, and I don't know, not so many, at least from layer one perspective again, but not so many really second winners. The same like with the search engines in the early internet. I mean, there was Netscape, right? Yahoo, Lycos, all these different things. But in the end, and some of them still exist, they still maybe make some profit. But if you put your bets on Google back then, it was the right move. And I think there are many parallels in that just as the internet was new in the 90s, maybe early 2000s, still a little bit too, so is the crypto space still early. And yeah, we have a wide variety of protocols which in a sense try to solve the same problem, just as all these different search engines tried to solve the same problem. So yeah, I think this is just where the tribalism comes. It is actually self-interest, and
Because people mostly admittedly got into crypto, and even me, by admission, got in this to get some money, to pay off, for me, it was just pay off my dog's euthanasia bills. That's literally how I got into crypto. But, yeah, so we get into, people are in it for money. They see as early adopters, being on the forefront, they can, make a better life for themselves if they take the risk, in my opinion. But I also want to say, kind of the point of adoption, that people who will work with and I don't know if the IOTA Foundation is exactly doing that, but I guess Adam can speak more onto it. Is if they work and abide and even talk to the regulators in any fashion or any kind of government agency, they're going to more likely than not experience widespread adoption than most. Or, yeah. At least in my opinion. No. Any other thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't have any thoughts on it. It's an open question, I think, of what the relationship is between working with regulators and then being kind of on their side. I think we can kind of see this, how, like, for instance, Coinbase is one of these entities that notoriously tries to get closer to regulators and talk to them, but it hasn't really seemed to work out in their favor all the time. So I'm not exactly sure. I think, of course, anything that like gets crypto and Web3 into the kind of public conversation, or at least the political conversation, is, I don't know. I'd like to say better, but there's also kind of the scam, scam narrative that everybody kind of holds on to, or the North Korean money laundering narrative. So there's for sure a place, I think, for actually one thing that I personally think I would like to see come out of IOTA. I think IOTA is more willing to take a stance on things like the TFR, the transfer fund regulations. This was a couple of months ago, and that we seem to be able to be a little bit more outspoken about these things and push our standpoints on the regulators. And part of this might be because we know some of the regulators, or through FC products or projects and things like that, that we might actually be a vector to get regulation, or sensible regulation, up there in a way that makes crypto kind of a positive sum game if we can actually work with the other teams. This is what the earlier point was. Like, if we can actually coordinate efforts, I think we are in a unique space to be able to do so in crypto.
I would agree. I mean, I don't know anyone who hangs out in IOTA Origin. It's not a particularly active server, but honestly, their concept is unique. But if you kind of read in their general chat in their server, they are, at least what Julian claims, is that they are going to talk to the German transportation minister, for some $3 million grant funding for their mining and their supply chain technology, which is actually very, very, very interesting. They're willing to do that. And yeah, but with that said, we've been talking a lot about all these things. I see one of my friends join the audience. I'm not sure if they're going to request to speak or not. One of my friends from Alto Protocol, but on the VSC. But yeah, it's all.
Can I pop in real quick, Zephyr?
Oh, go ahead. Feel free to interrupt me at any time.
Okay. Yeah. Well, on the note of regulators and trying to work with them, and so IOTA probably has something in place to where they can communicate directly with EU regulators or German regulators. Here in the U.S., for example, all of our politicians are sort of bought and paid for by Web2 organizations, and it puts us at a large disadvantage because the politicians' paymasters are the ones who stand to lose the most from the development of Web3. And so generally, right, throughout human history, politicians are going to be beholden to their paymasters rather than their constituents. And so I don't want to say that there's like a disincentive but it's almost like you go to these people with like a open hand and wanting to work in the best possible interest, but at the end of the day, they're going to preserve their donors' interest over whatever crypto or DeFi could do for like the regular Main Street type people. And it sucks. It sucks that the system is like this, you know, because the West particularly is at a very large risk of having a brain drain, because El Salvador, not a problem for crypto, right? Nigeria, it looks like they're doing some really incredible stuff with crypto. A ton of interest from their youth there. And places like El Salvador and Nigeria, if they provide, you know, conducive, warm environments for crypto and DeFi projects, well, that's where the builders will just go. Because if I want to build a DApp, I'm not going to do it under threat of persecution or overzealous taxation here in the United States. I'll just go to where I can do it legally. And for a lot of the builders, you know, they're 25 to 35, they're digital nomads. And so the West, like, really, really needs to be careful how they manage this, because they could blow sort of the revolution of finance. They could completely blow it if they're not careful.
They could, you know, they could fall into obscurity if they're not careful and kind of don't realize the value proposition. I would definitely say that. So, you know, there all is that. Unless you guys kind of want to add a few more points, a few more people want to kind of come up from the audience and just talk about things in general, you know, would happy to just hear anyone else's thoughts. You know, steal a Lumi from Dr. Tangle. You know, that's what we need to do. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, all good.
Okay, that's good. You heard that comment for sure. Okay, request IOTA Poet is back up again. Hey, buddy. Hello?
Did you make him a speaker?
I did make you a speaker, yes. Hello? Oh, okay. Anyone else want to...
I had a question. Just, has any of the projects on here want to give us a sneak peek or an idea of anything that's coming up soon?
Sneak peek of, you know, our products or DApps?
Sorry, sneak peek's probably the wrong word. Maybe more just any hints or build any hype on anything that's coming up soon.
Oh, I guess, well, I as well take the opportunity. We got, 17 more minutes. Might as well. Nico, why don't you take it from here? For release Moon Labs.
I guess so. As soon as possible, we will launch some of our services, and also our vaults will soon get a new version upgrade with some new features. But honestly, was your question more about IOTA hype or some sneak peeks from all our projects?
From the projects, yeah.
Oh, okay. Then I'm not wrong to say it here. Yeah.
Do it.
We will soon launch it, and we are already working on some cooperations with other IOTA projects. For example, with Tangle C, where it looks like we will make some vaults for, and they will also be listed in our DEX aggregator. So that also other people can easily integrate, for example, the Tangle C swap in their page. Very easy. And just waiting for everything to be set up.
Then the things will keep rolling. I guess we can talk about some DeFi specific questions about specific projects. Dr. Tingle, why don't you take it from here?
I hope you can hear me, because my AirPods they have been empty, so I need to go.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you. Tell us about the Lumis we can get.
Yes, we must steal them. We need to steal them.
Yeah, I think I can agree what Nico just said. We from probably we can't give like specific hints, but what I can tell you is we are more going into this like testing or audit situation now, to get everything ready for launch. It's not that we are developing and see if everything works. It's more like it's done and we audit now and just waiting before the chain gets live, and then we are ready to go. So I think this is, at least for our team, it's very exciting because we can see our end product, we can see how everything works, and we are just super excited to see it live.
Would you mind I ask this specific question more DeFi oriented, Dr. Tingle, about what was the decision to go from I guess kind of think because of the IOTA and Shimmer token, I do think they will go up. Why to go with a typical automated market maker? Compared to like a balance or style decks where you can have weighted pools. It's just a thought that's kind of been going through my mind.
Do you mean why we picked like the 50-50 pools, for example?
Yeah.
So I mean, there are different kind of ways how you can build up an automated market maker. I mean, there is Uniswap version 2, version 3. There's Balancer. There was a completely new protocol with Banker version. I think it's version 3. Which went live some months ago. And so first of all, we scanned the full market and we wanted to pick the technology for our core, for our fundament, which is highly secure. And what we can freely use. This is probably connected to version 3 because it's licensed, so you need to pay for it. And we thought, especially for the Shimmer network, there will be a lot of new projects, a lot of new coins will be created, and most of these coins don't have an oracle. And we thought to be like to create the biggest benefits for the network, we will build up this base 50-50 pools and act as not only as a trading option for all these coins, but as well as an oracle to create the prices for each of these coins. And for this reason, we decided to use the Uniswap version 2 as a foundation for the Shimmer EVM DEX.
Okay, thank you. That was very insightful, and I appreciate that. I guess for the other people, is Tingle Hub still up here? I can't see it.
I think he left.
I think he did, but that is okay.
But we will also use Tangle C for our Oracle prices.
Yeah, for sure.
But maybe just want to go to back to IOTA for its question. I think there will be. I mean, we hear the word soon a lot, but I think we will actually very soon see a lot of traction on our space, on the Tangle C Shimmer C space, but as well as on Shimmer and the EVM.
Okay. So I guess the last Chip and can briefly kind of speak about Ape Labs and DAO B and IOTA content created out, and then I guess the last thing I would want out here is to have Umbris speak. He is the person who got, from my understanding, Moonvault's involved. With IOTA. If everyone's okay with that.
He forced me to. He convinced me to look into it, and then I was like, "Okay, I have to go for it. It's other chains are boring, so let's go to IOTA."
He said only if I allow him and other projects to do a IOTA swimsuit calendar, and I agreed. So I went ahead and put in the application.
Okay.
This is a new teaser. So
and yeah,
IOTA
Roundtable, sorry you roped into that as well.
Bring the new meaning to Moonvault.
Oh god. Yeah, all I know is that Umbris can sell it. That's for sure. But yeah, no. I mean, we're about to kind of close out here. It's about to end. We've gone for 1 hour and 50 minutes. It's actually been quite an enjoyable conversation. just quite genuinely, it's been one of the better AMA, not even AMA. It's been one of the better, group chat experiences I've had in this space in the last 6 months I've been here. So it's been quite fun, and I do really appreciate all who kind of came up and participated. And, the people who talked, who were just kind of in the audience, I'll definitely kind of DM you and contact you about what NFT I had and you want. Anyone gonna make closing remarks?
So in general, the IOTA Roundtable is planned to be not at regular dates, but more frequent. So this should not be a one-time event, and we want to invite more and more project leaders. So everyone from Touchpoint, for example, is also very welcome to speak here or later. It should be a very open round for IOTA projects to talk. Also, sometimes not about IOTA, but overall. For example, if there is a shocking new bridge exploit or whatever, then sometimes that might be the current topic. But in general, an open place for IOTA projects to talk.
Yeah, and I think we did quite a good job this first run. Hopefully, we can get more people, to come next time to spread the word. Again, and I might even do on my personal account, provided people actually can follow it. Just kind of more less general, and hopefully other projects can host it as well. Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Dingle.
Maybe I want to use the last minutes to say thank you to you for hosting this and bringing us together. And it was a very, very insightful and interesting session. So thank you very much for this. Yeah.
No problem. I was legitimately, it's better than people just kind of talking about price, no? But yeah, so feel free to, anyone else kind of make closing remarks, and otherwise, I think we'll just exit out here. I'll message the others, and to everyone who kind of joined, thank you so much for, sticking around. And that's it.
Yeah, thanks everybody, and thanks Zephyr.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Good evening. Bye-bye.
And see you.
Thanks
okay,
all.
but now I will end this, and I will continue to bother you guys afterwards. Anyway, have a nice day, everyone.